Back when I was 17, I started my first channel. Now, a lot of people have heard that story, and I've shared so many stories about my life on here. The stories I never shared, however, were the ones that I forgot to see. It's amazing how much you look past as you go through your day-to-day. And today I want to talk to you about the evolution of BulletBarry. It starts off small, like most YouTube channels do. I uploaded an interview with a small MLP game developer. I shared my experiences with Camtasia and Aces screwing me over. More than anything else, I wanted to share my stories. I've always been good at telling stories, and not only was I good at it, but people liked to listen. They'd tell me that they got morals from my experiences, and in some way it helped them learn something. As time went on with the channel, I'd get some views on those stories. Some of you guys commented on them and even asked for more. I never got that kind of attention, and I had no idea anyone would find me interesting enough to subscribe. Despite those thoughts though, people did. Every email I got telling me I had a new subscriber was accompanied with such a rush. Someone likes me enough to stay, and little by little more and more people would subscribe. I got to the point that I had a little following of about 100 people. That's when I made my first video towards the community. You guys make me feel great. Again, I'm not one to get emotional about things, but you guys are going to make me cry. And I'm not saying that I'm thinking I'm going to be the most popular YouTuber soon or anything, but you guys make me feel like it. I always thought that YouTube was full of hate comments and spammers, but the stigma was just that. And I can't even express how this feels. But I wanted to say thank you. You have no idea what the support means to me, and what these comments mean to me, especially as a tiny little baby channel. Looking back on that video, the way I looked at things back then, I had such an appreciation for every single one of you, and every comment and thought you had to share. Fast forward a little bit and I get a message on Steam. The message is from a guy named Don who asked if I'd like to play some GTA 5. Of course I said, and we got into a Skype call and had a good time. He won't admit it now, but back then he was fangirling like crazy. I've never played games with a YouTuber I watch. I know you have a small channel, but wow. I never understood that mentality, and calling myself a YouTuber just felt so out of place. I was just some kid who liked sharing my opinions, and I tried to make that as clear as I could throughout my videos. The greatest part about playing video games with you guys is I'd get opinions on my videos, and I'd even go back on some of my topics with newfound perspectives. The channel was evolving, but it was a very natural evolution. The more I made videos, the more subscribers I had, the more games I'd play with you guys. It even got to the point that I was running out of room in my friends list, and subscribers would send me Steam trading cards so I could level up. It was so thoughtful and considerate. Funniest part was most of the time the people sending me Steam trading cards were the people who already added me as a friend, but simply wanted to help so I could add more of you guys. It just started feeling so much like a community, but not just some rando community. A real community made up of caring people who thought of strangers. As I'd go on, I'd be sent video games on my wish list, or games that others enjoyed and wanted me to play in the background of my videos. I was so thankful. I was really in a tough spot at the time, money-wise, and being able to play some of these games that I was dying to experience, it just warmed my heart every time, and I promised myself that I would never take that for granted. I made a lot of promises to myself along those lines. I never wanted to ask anything of my community, never wanted to make them feel like I was abusing a power that I was slowly attaining. I see a lot of channels do that, ignore their communities and then ask them for the world, and the audience will do whatever they say. It was just never a power I wanted to have nor use, and the more I grew, I'd realize this, especially through emails. This was around the time that I'd centered my channel around PC gaming. It was something that I'd become passionate about, like nothing else, and I had so much information that I wanted to share, opinions I wanted to share, and experiences that I felt people would enjoy hearing. I made videos in a specific way. The title was always about the content, and if not, it was an analogy. I always thought of my videos as little movies, and the titles were a fundamental part of it, but it was the emails that really showed how my videos were being received. I'd get emails talking about how people's lives were changed. My channel had shown them a new way of thinking that they'd never considered before, and a lot of them took up PC gaming as well. At first I blew past everything but the PC gaming aspect. I had heard of fans getting obsessed and letting a YouTuber change their life, and at first that was the thought. Then it was that PC gaming itself had changed their lives. For some reason I had a really hard time fully understanding what it was they were saying. When you spend so much time with yourself and you grow comfortable with how you think, you forget that others have their own thoughts and ways that they think. I never realized it, but it wasn't PC gaming that changed them. It was my perspective and how I looked at the situations that I was in. I realize now that my advocacy for open-mindedness and desire to know as much as I could instilled a lot of motivation in those who really watched my videos, and I never fully appreciated that until recently. This is when I started the Everything is Person-to-Person series. I spoke openly about myself and my views on things, but also other aspects to the topic. I wanted people who couldn't see things from another side be able to do that with these videos, which made them difficult to make, but all the more fun, and it really threw me into a central mindset. I don't like to look at things and draw conclusions. I like to get as many points of view as I can and then make a decision, and it was that way of thinking that intrigued my subscribers. As I went on, I grew more and more on YouTube, and it was the Console Peasant Quote series that made me famous. Don't get me wrong, there would have been subscribers, but I gotta be real with myself. I know what most people are on here for, and I don't feel either way about that. It's just the truth. I would thank the community as often as I could without being overbearing. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to make a video just telling this community how much I loved them, and how happy I was that they stuck around. I'd read every single comment despite the growth, and I reply to all of them as well. I even made videos every day. I just had so much passion and so many things to discuss, I never wanted to stop, and I shared a lot about myself. Looking back through my channel, I never realized how open and honest I was. I put it all out there to try to illustrate points that I wanted to make. Many would say that the channel felt like a chat with a friend instead of a YouTube video, and it made me feel unique. All I wanted was to be closer. I wanted you guys to be part of the video, so I started a community podcast. I'd chat with subscribers about anything they wanted to chat about, and as much as I loved doing those, it caused a lot of stress trying to set them up. This is one of the first pressures I dealt with on YouTube. I felt like I'd offered something really great to the community and then ripped it away without any reason. I really let stuff like that get to me back then. At this point, I started changing the channel a bit. The way I did my videos was the same, but I started to mellow out on the voice acting. I would intentionally speak slow so that everyone could understand, and I'd also try to make my voice deeper. Funny thing was, I didn't do that for me. I just wanted to make my videos as pleasant as I possibly could, and I started putting puns at the end of my videos. People loved it, and it really added another unique touch to the BulletBarry channel. It gave each video a little whimsical bump that tied the whole thing together, and though I wasn't the first to do it, it became my thing. The channel had a lot of things like that. The more I look at it now, the more I realize I've gone through a lot of stages in my life with you guys. From Walmart to Fred Meyer to Falcon Northwest to full-time YouTuber, and you can watch this growth as you go through the channel. This, of course, isn't exclusive to my channel, but was yet another thing that I never really understood when people would tell me how I've helped them through rough parts of their life simply because of how I went through mine. As I went on, I got experimental. I tried new types of videos. Some worked, some didn't, but I never stopped myself from exploring. The channel became this page where I essentially chatted about anything I was interested in at the time, which got me into trouble sometimes as I'd make a video without fully understanding what it was I was talking about. That part went on for more than I like to admit. I'd pretty much regurgitate videos from other people sometimes, and as genuine as the interest in those things was, it wasn't a great way to make videos. It just kind of felt fake, and people could see through that. Fast forward a little bit more, my channel starts to explode. Watching this channel grow was one of the most amazing feelings I've had. I'd sit at 180 subscribers for a month or so, and then all of a sudden, boom, 5,000. Sit there for a bit more, and then bam, 10,000. I was growing so fast. Or at least it felt that way, but the subscriptions didn't matter. I still replied to every comment, and I still thanked you guys for being here. I'd come home from work every day so eager to read and reply to comments that I'd skip dinner until I was done. This is when Top Hats and Champagne made a video about me.
Oh look, I'm BulletBarry and I'm so mature because I don't call people peasants.
Apparently I'd soiled the name of the PC Master Race and he needed to show me who was boss. Honestly, that whole argument was some of the most fun I've ever had on YouTube, and Top Hats and I became good friends after that. This is when I got closer to Rags and Top Hats, Fringy, and eventually Fertanga came along as well. I met other YouTubers like Dev and NoobTube Gamer, and I had a great time making friends with all of them. Especially NoobTube. He and I went back and forth all the time. We'd get into arguments on stream and the chats were so ridiculous. I gotta admit, I was still learning myself as we'd hash things through. I had no idea how to debate back then, but the conversations were still some of the most entertaining chats I'd had. This pattern continued until I hit 50,000 subscribers. It all came so fast, and that's not to say that there wasn't a bump or two along the way. 50k was the first time I'd hinted at a face reveal. It was so great having everyone from Falcon and some other friends pretend to be BulletBarry. Despite me even dubbing my own voice, people seemed to pick out the real BulletBarry. The red shirt guy became a famous character within the community, but no matter who asked, I always kept my mouth shut. Gaining those subs felt great. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but hitting the sub counts got me especially excited about the specials. I had a creative idea for each one, and I even come up with them far before I was near the number of subs I had to get to. I was just so excited to give back and to make videos in general. This is when I got hardcore into PC gaming. I had my job at Falcon Northwest, and it compelled me to make a series on every single component and how it works. I apparently did a pretty good job, as I'd get messages and comments from both teachers and students saying they found my channel and used it in class, or their teacher used it in class and that's how they discovered me. I felt a heavy responsibility to make sure all my information was correct, but also easy to understand. The trouble I never realized was how people interpret information. I can't believe how long it took me to realize, but not everyone is like you. They don't think like you do, and some don't pick up on things that you do. I'd make videos talking about a certain subject and there would be comments saying I didn't make it right because of this or that, or a part of it was extremely confusing, and when I went back, I couldn't find the problem. It wasn't until I rewatched some of my videos with others and they'd ask, "What did you mean here when you said this?" And then I'd have to explain. These things would be something I figured everyone knew or at least would be able to look up, but not everyone's curious enough. Some people draw conclusions based on what they know, and that realization made it difficult sometimes to make videos. I'd often worry if the way in which I spoke hindered how people received the information, and it just got to the point that I had to realize that some people just weren't gonna get it. Which sucked, cause it meant nasty comments over something that wasn't my fault. Screw me, I guess, but I always smiled when I got a comment like that. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I made mistakes, and I'd own up to that. Other times though, some people are just dumb, and that's the way it is. This was also around the time that NoobTube was at its craziest. He'd put on this console king persona and freaked out over the PC Master Race. It was extremely fun to watch his content at this time. Rags also went a bit of a different direction, turning more towards SJW type content instead of PC gaming focused stuff. Top Hats and Champagne was streaming more than he was doing YouTube as well, and it seemed that kinda ended up with a bit of a monopoly on the whole PC gaming stuff. I mean, there was Fortanga, but nobody watched his videos, right? I miss my Falcon days sometimes. I think it may have been the peak of my channel. I'd only been making videos on this YouTube channel for about a year and it was so fresh to me and so much was happening every day, it was all so exciting. I felt like I was growing so fast. This is when I hit 100,000 subscribers. It was a big time in my life. I made a Draw My Life special which covered everything from the time I was conceived until I started the channel. Obviously I missed a story or two, but it was one of my favorite videos that I'd ever made, and I knew I wanted to make more videos like it. Wasn't long after that I did. I made a video with my first face reveal and it came without warning in some random DIY video. I never even made a video like that before and I imagine it was quite a shock. Nice hair, Barry. What are you, some kind of hick? The most amazing part of this video was the kinds of doors it opened for me. The passion was so intense that I'd start to make a new series just to test it out and have fun. That's what YouTube was all about for me. Having as much fun as I could while also spreading a positive message. And that message, to be open-minded. Really, when I think about this channel, I honestly believe there's an underlying moral, a message that I unintentionally planted through it, and the best way I can describe the channel when people ask is, BulletBarry is a channel about things that some rando guy is interested in, with an underlying message to keep your mind open to new things, alternate perspectives, and ideas that you otherwise wouldn't have or would ignore. I didn't even realize that that was the underlying message until going back and watching my old content. People say that when they go back and watch their old videos, it makes them cringe at how ignorant and young they were, how simple they thought, and as much as I feel the same way, I think I was really onto something. Not that I was smarter back then, that's definitely not the case, and there's been a ton of growth that's more apparent the further you go back. It's just kind of funny how much you can watch yourself grow simply by listening to the way you used to think, and contrasting it with now. But this isn't about now, it's about back then, so back to the story. When I got my YouTube plaque, I freaked out. It's a constant reminder that I made it. I did it, and even if the channel were to die, I have a little something to remind me of what I once built. Something that's in my house, and technically my possession, but belongs to every single subscriber too who helped me get here. I could never not be thankful for you guys. Around this time, I was really experimenting with new video ideas. I dyed my hair purple, got my first 1,000,000 views on a PUBG video, and my favorite video that I've ever made. I wanted to make more videos like this, but it was tough. I'd been trying to keep a loose schedule of about 2 videos a week, and it would really stress me out making videos like this because of how long they would take, how much effort I had to put in to make them. Funny how demotivated you can get by something you're passionate about once it becomes a job, and videos that took that long to make became so stressful until they were completed. Seeing the finished product on YouTube though was rewarding as hell, and seeing the comments about the quality really made me happy. Around this point is when I started accepting products from companies to review. At first I loved it. I liked reviewing things that came to me for free. I mean, come on, you'd have to be dumb not to love it. At least, that's what I thought at first. Through all this, I'd still reply to comments, even though it started getting a bit difficult. I started getting to the point where I only replied to ones that felt warranted a reply instead of forcing myself to try to get to all of them. You may wonder if I was ever bothered by negative comments, and at first the answer was yes. After some time with them, I realized that it just wasn't worth my time. Sometimes it'd be someone who was just pissed for no reason and wanted to take it out on a YouTuber for whatever reason, and that never bothered me. Sometimes it'd be attacks on me for getting things wrong, which I'd reply thanking them for letting me know, and then other times it'd be some dummy who didn't get the message and got mad for some ignorant BS that they came up with in their head, which, again, never bothered me, and I spent a lot of time messing with those people in the comments. I never really got a lot of negativity, so I wasn't really bothered. Though there is negativity everywhere, that's just something that's not going to change. One thing that did change, though, was my voice. I mentioned earlier that I used little voice acting tricks to try to make my voice sound more pleasant. As time went on, though, it just felt fake to me and I eased into my normal voice. Still sounded like I was reading scripts sometimes. This is when things started to go downhill a bit, and I didn't even realize for a long time. I quit Falcon Northwest to focus on the channel. This felt like the right decision, and I honestly still believe it was. Having Falcon and YouTube in my life at the same time made doing both of them difficult. I'd wake up, go to work, think about video ideas, come home, work on scripts all night until I went to bed and start again. Now I was free of this, and I could really put my mind into YouTube. Only problem was I ended up spending a lot of time at home. It made it difficult to tell stories, and I wasn't doing enough with my life to get any new ones to tell. I tried to be more creative, making different styles of videos that I always wanted to make, but it just wasn't satisfying. In fact, I got stressed out a lot faster. I'd get so worried because I'd be putting all my attention to this one video that would take weeks to make, and I'd be scared of not uploading enough. And I wasn't scared because of pressure of making videos, I was scared because of how shaky YouTube is. With Falcon Northwest, I had a job. It was a safety net. Sure, you can get fired, but so long as you do your job well, you're okay. With YouTube, you could give it your all and so much could happen. YouTube could crash. It could implement one of those really convenient bugs that make people unsubscribe from you and hides your videos. My subscribers could simply get bored, and all of these fears made me focus on paychecks from YouTube. It made me focus on money, and as time went on, that's what YouTube became to me. Not passion, money. As YouTube started revolving around money for me, I'd feel a necessity to upload. I felt a necessity to put videos up because my subscribers would be angry at me if I didn't. At least, that's what I projected onto you guys. I fell deeper and deeper into this mindset, and as I did, I lost touch with the audience, and I had no idea why that was happening. I'd continue to make videos, but it came from a place of obligation instead of love, and a lot of people felt that. Funniest thing was, some subscribers would tell me that before unsubscribing, and all it ever did was scare me and make me resent. I thought, those people were bad subscribers anyway. They don't know the real me if they think I should revert to a younger version of myself. I had no idea that there was even a problem. The reviews I was doing would get in the way. Companies would offer to send me stuff and I would just accept without thinking of a video to make simply because I wanted the thing they were offering me. The loneliness sucked, the lack of stories sucked, and the companies sending me things and emailing me every couple days asking if the review was done didn't help and just felt overwhelming. Reviews started to get in the way of content that I wanted to make, and when I finally had a day to get to the content, I was so fed up that I just didn't want to make it anymore. I started bundling reviews into a series, but even that didn't help. It only compelled me to take on more things from companies because this smart boy found a quick fix to a problem. Only it wasn't a fix, to tell you that, it just caused more problems. This is when I decided I was going to make the kinds of videos that I wanted to make. Screw the reviews, that can come when I have time, but as I made videos that I wanted to, it just took a ton of time and work. I locked myself up for weeks for one video, and when I finally did upload it, nobody would really watch them. At least not compared to my lower effort Console Peasant Quotes series, and that kind of stuff weighs on you after a while. This easy series that anybody could have done is the thing about you that people like the most, huh? Sure, maybe some viewers like the series more because of me, but when it comes down to it, it could have been on anybody's channel, and that thought that nothing I make out of passion would compare drove me a bit further out of touch. This is when things kind of changed. I realized that I was stuck in a rut, and I had no idea why. Whatever was causing this problem within me was an unknown enemy, and I actually went to a therapist about the whole thing. She recommended I leave the country for a bit. Go travel, it'll settle your mind, and it may help you realize what's going on, may get you out of your funk and back into doing the thing you love. Luckily for me, I had a couple friends heading out to visit Vietnam, so I tagged right along. I had a wonderful time in Vietnam, and the doctor was right. It did teach me a lot, but not exactly what I was expecting. When I got back home, I could feel that I wasn't as happy here. Don't get me wrong, I'm not unhappy, but I realized Vietnam had a lot to offer me, even if it wasn't on YouTube. It was a hard thing to take in, and it took a few weeks before I fully came to terms with the idea. What I realized was that I wasn't unhappy because of the place, but because of what I was doing. PC gaming has been one of my greatest passions, but just like airsoft and parkour, it's not where my heart's at anymore. I love PC gaming, and I don't think that'll ever go away. My passion for it, however, has moved on, and I slowly realized that this is how I've always been. I've done this with people all my life. I'd have a friend who had so much to offer. I would grow and learn from them, and then one day, I learned everything I needed, and we grew apart. I didn't do this maliciously, it's just how I am. I grow tired of things as I get into them, and I move on to the next thing. I can be afraid and annoyed about that, or I can work alongside of it to help me grow. And coming to terms with all of this was a bit scary. I tried forcing myself to make content. I'd stay up for hours working on scripts that I would just delete and start over. There'd be days where I'd go to write a script or make a video and I would instead just stare at the floor all day. Passion is the greatest motivator. Once you realize your passions have moved on, YouTube just feels like work. Crappy thing is, the stress of money would overwhelm me. This is when I split my Discord right in half. I'd lost touch with my community for such a long time that the Discord I made stopped being about my channel altogether. It was just a giant random community, and for every subscriber, there was just some person. I actually really liked this for a long time, but it wasn't until I split it down the middle and started a new server, I got my community back, and I remembered what it was I loved so much about you guys. Seeing you work together, share stories and games with one another, giving advice on what types of computers to build, it just warmed my heart. I got flashbacks to when I first started this channel and who I used to be, what my community used to be. I've grown a lot, and not in a bad direction, but I could see what it was that I was doing wrong. I've been engaging with you more, and upon realizing that all I had to do was be transparent with you guys again, I knew what I had to do, and this video is that thing. I'm going to be moving back to Vietnam for a while. Now, I know all this sounds like I'm quitting on the channel, but actually that's not the case. Vietnam has a lot to offer, and once I find my place out there, I will be coming back. I'm still going to work on this channel, just not as hard. I have to do what I'm passionate about, and as much as I love PC gaming, that's just not what it is anymore. I was kind of terrified to tell you guys all this, but in the end, I had to. It's not fair for any of us that I keep this to myself, stressing myself out and keeping everyone else in the dark, especially this community that does actually try to keep an open mind. All I really had to do was take my own advice. I said it many times to do the thing that makes you happy, no matter what, and here I was standing in my own way. I just want you to know that I won't be changing this channel that much. I want to keep it in the veil that it is now, but I will be putting my attention somewhere else for a while. I'll also be hanging out in my new Discord, which you can totally join in the description. I want to get back in touch with you guys. I can't believe how much I missed hanging out with all of you. At the end of the day, the most important thing I want to say is thank you. You guys have been the most understanding bunch I've ever met, and I haven't been saying that enough. I used to thank you all the time. I used to dedicate videos to you, and when I lost touch, I truly forgot how special and important you all were to me. I promise you'll see me again on this channel, but if you had to take something away from our journey together, take this. No matter what you do, take an open mind with you. Be curious and wonder things. Wonder people's points of view and ask them why they think the way they do. Never take anything for granted and look inward. There's so much to you that others don't have, and you can share that, build off it, and use it to help you grow. These are the bullet points. In your life, people will screw you. You'll have a good day or a true service, but no matter what, you have to take the experience your way. Nobody else can tell you how to think, how to feel, or how to act. Everything is person to person, and as much as I knew that, I never truly understood it until now.